Welcome back. I'm Christine Kopr, Senior Vice President of Sales with Sotheby's International Realty Canada in Vancouver, Canada. And today we're going to follow up on some of the typical subjects that you see in a contract when you're purchasing a property. So if you're thinking about buying, these are some of the things that you're going to want to consider when you purchase a property. So very quickly, when you make an offer, typically in the normal market conditions or under normal circumstances, you'll make an offer at a price. So you're saying, hey, Mr. Mrs. Seller, I'm going to purchase your property at this price point, subject to, so even if you get this accepted contract, you're still not purchasing it. It's subject to being satisfied with these certain conditions. And there'll be certain conditions in there. Typically, one that you probably are thinking about is financing, making sure that your lender says, yes, you can purchase this property. And then that way, once you get the permission, you can waive that subject. And when you waive all your subjects, it now means that your contract is subject free and you have contractually purchased the property, i.e. the point of no return. So let's take a look at typical common subjects are when you're purchasing a strata property. And a strata is a condominium, a townhouse, anywhere where you have multiple homes under one plan versus a single detached family home. Here's the typical contract of purchase and sale. This is the offer you make. And you probably saw a bit more about the base of this contract when on some of my previous videos. If not, check it out. There's a video about the offer process as well as the contract. So I'm not going to go through these details because there's a video on that already. So what we're talking about today is the subjects or the conditions in your contract. So here we go. These would be the typical conditions you would have in your contract. The first one being the title. The title is the actual legal description and the thing that you are buying. It's not necessarily the address. And sometimes there's things associated with the title. Now, when you look at the contract here in the first part, it talks about number 5, title. It is up to the buyer to satisfy the buyer on matters of zoning, building, or use restrictions, toxic and environmental hazards, encroachment on or by the property, and any exuberances which are staying on title before becoming legally bound. It's up to the seller to specify in the contract if there's any encumbrances other than those listed in section 9, which are going to stay on title before becoming legally bound. If you're the buyer taking on a mortgage, make sure your mortgage company is going to lend on it. Okay, so what are these things? Well, we're going to take a look at that in just one second. Further down in the contract, there's section 9 and it talks about the title. So title, free and clear. So when you're buying the property, you're telling the seller, I want the title free and clear of any encumbrances except for any subsisting conditions or provisos, restrictions, exemptions, or reservations, including royalties contained in the original grant of land, registered or pending restricted covenants, right-of-ways and favors of utility or public authorities or existing tenancies. So we can't get rid of anything on title. And you're probably going, what the heck does this title even look like? So let me share with you. So here is an example of a common title. Okay, here is what a title looks like. So here is the seller's names would be here as well as the physical address of where the sellers live. Usually it's the address of the property, but actually it's this property or parcel identifier, this number here that's redacted, you can't see it. And then the legal description parts of this has been redacted as well for privacy issues. So this is actually what you're buying right here. And here are the charges, liens, and interests that are associated with this title. You can't get rid of these. It says in the contract that the seller has to get rid of everything except for those items that you can't get rid of. And here's some example. There's a covenant in the city of Burnaby. There's the statutory building scheme. There's a crown right to the province, etc. So you might be wondering, well, what are these things that I can't get rid of on title, and do they pose a negative or positive impact on the title? So one of the services we provide our buyers is a legal review from a lawyer who reviews some of these things. So here's what you get. So we use Spagnolo and Company. And here it identifies, okay, so there's a covenant. There was a covenant on title. This is the number that is associated with it. And it says a covenant imposes either negative or positive condition on a property. A covenant is usually in favor of a government authority and often contains restrictions on building or other uses in favor of a municipality or province. Okay. It's a non-financial charge, meaning there's no money owing by the owner of the land or the charge holder. Also, this charge runs with the land, which means the charge will remain on title following registration of any transfer, i.e. transferring from the seller to you. So this has to stay on the title. And this charge is in favor of the District of Burnaby, restricts the land use to protect the vegetation and trees upon lots A, B, or C. No building or structure shall be erected upon those lots, etc. And then there's actually the associated documents with that. So you say to yourself, hey, that doesn't impose the way I want to use this property. This is staying on the title because perhaps there's a park nearby and they just don't want a developer going and taking down the park. There's already a master plan in place, that sort of thing. So these are the kinds of things we look for in terms of the title. So you're going to have a subject to on or before a certain date of obtaining and proving a copy of that title search and making sure that there's no registered or pending feature that may adversely affect the property's use or value to you. So that's one of the very important subjects that we see in pretty much every single contract. The next one is subject to insurance. Insurance is really important because it protects you. And there's a few things going on here. If you're purchasing a strata property, you're going to get the insurance policy for the strata itself or the condominium. And then you're also going to go out and get insurance quotes for yourself for the contents, because the strata has insurance that covers the entire replacement of the strata. And then there's deductibles for things like water loss, sewer backups, that sort of thing. And you want to see what those deductibles look like, because some of them have become very large these days, in excess of $100,000. And you want to protect yourself in case you are the cause of having the strata having to use that $100,000 deductible. If you don't have $100,000 in your bank account just sitting there, then you want to talk to your insurance agent, making sure that maybe you can get some top-up insurance in case you had to actually use that deductible, as well as insure your contents and any betterments, because insurance only covers improvements that were made by the original developer and nothing that you may have done after the fact, like new flooring or built-ins. You need to talk to your insurance provider about all these details, but this is a very common one. Insurance, particularly from the strata, is important because you can't get a mortgage without insurance. Subject to an inspection. So this is about getting a professional inspector through the home or property and making sure that there's nothing adverse or major that's going to impact you in the near-term future. And from here, you're going to see what the results are. Hopefully there's nothing concerning. And if there are any concerns, perhaps there's the opportunity to negotiate with the seller to see if you can overcome those potential issues. One of the most important parts is the strata documents. Besides the home inspection, the strata documents are huge because they are actually about the entire building. The home inspection is about the inside of the unit more than likely. They might look at the external stuff and give you feedback on things to look for in the strata documents, but mainly the home inspection is on the inside, things that are your responsibility. The strata is responsible for all the major items, the windows, the roofs, typically. So you have to read the strata documents because it's really going to tell you what you're buying. You're not just buying that suite, you're buying the entire property, all the other units, their windows, their roofs, the siding, the boiler, the elevator, the roadways, the plumbing system, the main coming in to bring in your water, your sewer, everything. And you're going to learn about that in these strata docs, hopefully. So the first item is the Form B. That one tells you what your maintenance fees are, how much money is in the contingency reserve fund. I have a whole other video on how to interpret strata documents, so make sure you reach out about that or check out my YouTube page. The rules of the strata, the current budget, any disclosure about rentals and depreciation reports and engineering reports, the strata plan, which is the official projects submitted to the city, the bylaws, financial statements, annual general meetings, regular meetings, and their insurance certificate. And we throw in the property disclosure statement in there, which is separate from the strata, but we put it all under the strata documents for this purpose. So here you want to know, how much money do you have to pay every month? How much money has been saved up? You're going to learn, are there, hopefully, depending on how much information there is, are you going to learn of any upcoming maintenance plans that you might need to pay for in the future? How does the strata work? Are they pretty proactive? Do they spend money and upgrade the building? Because guess what? You need to. How's insurance? Do they have insurance? Are their deductibles huge, or are they normal? Because huge deductibles indicate perhaps the strata is not very proactive at taking care of the building or has had a lot of claims in the past, which is a red flag. Any AGMs or special general meeting minutes where there could be voting for bylaw changes, special levies, or the budget, and how much money do they actually save on an annual basis for the future? The bylaws are huge. Personally, I don't know how you're going to use the property. So the bylaws are really important because they're going to tell you about the things you can and cannot do. And you need to make sure that that fits for your lifestyle. So that's what you're going to learn from the strata documents. And then last but not least is subject to financing. This is where you're going to take it to the bank and you're going to find out whether or not you can qualify for this purchase based on all your numbers. And does the property appraise at the purchase price in the contract? Those two parts of financing are very important. So you're going to go, you're going to submit that to your lender and hopefully things come back positively. If they don't, again, another situation where you might have to negotiate with the seller. They could say no, and you might need to walk away, or you can come to a deal if for some reason the financing doesn't come together. These are the typical strata subjects we include in our offers, but every deal is different. Every property is unique. Sometimes there are other subjects that you need to design in order to protect yourself and make sure that you can use the property the way you want to, or address any concerns that you may have. I'm Christine Kopr with Sotheby's Realty in Metro Vancouver. I look forward to hearing from you. We love to help, so please reach out to us with any questions you have, and make sure you check out our YouTube channel for other educational videos and let us know other topics you want to learn about. Thanks so much. Make sure you like and subscribe.